Welcome to beautiful Tahiti as the road to Russia continues. It's Tahiti up against Papua New Guinea, and the stakes could not be higher as both these teams take a look at the summit of Group B and dream what may be possible. I'm Gordon Glenn Watson, your commentator for this particular match. True honour for myself to be present here as these two sides go head-to-head. Some familiar faces in here in this Tahitian side. Mikael Roche, the goalkeeper, Sylvain Gralia and Heimano Borba have been over the course many times in the past before. The captain for this one is Tainui Teho. Papua New Guinea have a lot of work to do. They've never beaten Tahiti in the history of playing football, and they'll be looking to skipper Michael Foster and goal-getters Nigel Dabanyaba and Raymond Ganemba as they seek to make a bit of history for themselves. Goodness knows they have absolutely no choice. If Tahiti can pick up 3 points, they will go to a total of 9. Papua New Guinea will be on 0 and have 2 games to play. They will effectively be eliminated. Solomon Islands sitting in second at the moment with 3 points. We'll be watching on. Very curious as to how Papua New Guinea get on with this task. They have got depleted playing stocks with many players from the OFC Nations Cup not present. The likes of Korea Kupanga, David Mutta, and of course the striker Tommy Semi. David Brown is also suspended. He's not involved. It's going to be a tough task for this Papua New Guinea side. Can they do it? That's the question on everyone's lips. As we see Bob Kumar, the former Fiji FA CEO, he's the general coordinator for this match. I'm sure everyone in football will wish Bob all the best. And as the FIFA anthem begins to wind down, we prepare for the national anthems, first of all, of Papua New Guinea.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of Papua New Guinea. Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles, Messieurs, veuillez vous lever pour l'hymne national de la Papouasie-Nouvelle-Guinée. Le national anthem of Tahiti. Et maintenant l'hymne national de Tahiti.
Well, this is a Tahitian side that has perhaps seen better days. The FIFA Confederations Cup was maybe a high point following their win in the Nations Cup in 2012. There are still a number of players in Tahitian colours that you can point to who will carry their hopes tonight. Tainui Teho I mentioned, Lorenzo Teho also, but there's also a new generation of player coming through, and that's going to take some time for them to reach those heights that they scaled only a few years ago. Papua New Guinea coach Fleming Seretslev has had a period of rebuilding imposed on him following the OFC Nations Cup of 2016. He's managed to draft in a raft of new faces, new players to try and strengthen what he had built upon, but elements out with his control have meant that some adaptation and some innovation has been required. The referees for this one are led by Matthew Conga of New Zealand in the centre right of your picture. The assistant referees, Tavita Makasini of Tonga and Mark Rule of New Zealand. The fourth official, centre left, is from Vanuatu. He's Mr. Joel Hopkin.
Number 14, numero 14, Warren J. Number 15, numero 15, Boba Donovan. Number 6,
Football Federation Tahiti have in the past run a football festival that has attracted many visitors from around the archipelagos, the Marquesas, the Australs, Rapa Island, Tuamotu Islands and the Society Islands, in a week-long celebration of futsal, beach soccer and football, and they're out here in force. There is, of course, a cultural element to that, and it's all added up to a wonderful build-up toward tonight's match. And while all the niceties of that cultural function are to be enjoyed, the big business here is about the FIFA World Cup in Russia next year. Tahiti have had a taste of it. Papua New Guinea are really just coming to the fore. In the last 2 4-year cycles, they have begun to stamp their authority, stamp their mark on Oceania football, both at club level and international level. Michael Foster, the skipper there, is going to be key if Papua New Guinea are to continue on that trajectory of constant improvement. Tonight is effectively a quarter-final match for Papua New Guinea. If they get beaten here, Tahiti will be on 9 points, as I say, and there'll only be 6 left to play for Fleming Seretslev's side. And they've never before beaten the Tahitians in all forms of the game, whether that be Pacific Games football, whether that be FIFA World Cup qualifiers, Nations Cup. It's an achievement that they would love to post this evening, a long way from home, the other side of the Pacific, the other side of the international date line. It will be a true test of their collective mettle. It'll be a test also for coach Seretslov and for Tahitian boss Ludovic Gralniar. You have to feel some element of sympathy there, because really he's on a hiding to nothing. As we're underway in Tahiti, Papua New Guinea in search of 3 points to reignite their FIFA World Cup hopes. This is Tahiti's last game in Group B. A draw would see them finish on 7 points. That would open the door for Papua New Guinea and Solomon Islands to continue to chase and push for that top spot, which leads to a home and away playoff, which is looking increasingly like New Zealand will pick up from Group A. Homano Borba. Here's a chance early on, Raymond Ganemba. And the block is put in by Tamatoa Tatoira. Raymond Ganemba has popped up for Hamilton Wanderers in the Sterling Sports Premiership in New Zealand. He had an up and down season, but he was one of the standout performers for his club side. He made a switch in the OFC Champions League to Leigh City Dwellers, but he's a player very much in form. Papua New Guinea will look to him tonight. Here's the first corner of the game. Oh, very decent, but straight at the goalkeeper. Ludovic Gralniar, the Tahitian coach, said that the key to tonight's game would be the midfield confrontation. He feels that if Tahiti can dominate in there, then it will lead to victory. Away by Comalong. Looked like a shove in the back there on Nigel Davignava, who's playing professional football these days after making a switch to Malaysia. Away by Roche. Davinyaba is getting amongst the goals too in his new domestic surroundings. One of the key strategies for both coaches to consider should they get the victory they seek tonight is just how they bridge the period of time between June and the OFC home and away final to determine which of the Oceania sides goes on to play the 5th place team in South America. New Zealand, of course, off to the FIFA Confederations Cup in Russia. There's about 5 games they've got lined up. Friendlies with Belarus and Northern Ireland. And the teams in Group B will have to, you would suppose, try and organise fixtures that give them exposure to a certain level of competition that will help bridge any perceived gap between themselves and the Group A winners. Of course, a lot of football to be played before that can be concretely thought of. And here's Foster. Oh, and a good shot. And a fine save by Michael Roche. That's what Michael Foster's capable of. Michael Roche was nearly picking the ball out of the back of the net. Emmanuel Simon, who's really had to come into his own. Oh, and that's easily taken by Roche again. This is where Tahiti are dangerous on the break. Sylvain Gralia cuts the ball inside. There's a mistake and problems for Papua New Guinea. It's tidied up by Elwyn Comalong. Sorry, that's Felix Comalong. Long ball for Davinyaba. Tamatoa Tatoiera had to be at his level best there to ensure that Tahitian backline was kept intact. Jay Warren. Now Gralia. Picked off by Elwyn Comalong. Richard Eloise not with the greatest of touches. Tunoa Tavairai. Matatia Palmer. Well, neither side able to develop any fluidity in their play in the opening exchanges. That's a lovely first touch by Gralia. He's almost away from Comalong. Good ball in. Well, it could have been better in truth, but there's some belief growing amongst the Tahitian supporters. Oh, Davinyaba left a foot in there and it's left a painful mark. Flag stays down, play continues. Ginemba cuts inside. Ginemba. Well, he might have overcooked it here. There's the back heel. Chance. Wide of the target. Required a better finish than what the build-up got. Well, yes, we're going back to this injury. I thought Davinyaba left his foot in there. It looks like Tatoiera who's receiving treatment. Here's another look at that effort from Davinyaba. Really had to make Roche work a lot harder than he did. Now Tatoiera is back on his feet. Tahiti will be back to a full complement momentarily. Doesn't look serious at all. Borba. That's a interesting looking ball. Lorenzo Tahoe. Oh, lovely footwork. Gralia. Offside. Very, very tight midfield battle. You can see there, Jacob Sabua winning the ball back for Felix come along. Simon. Michael Foster. Oh, that was a poor touch, but he was supported by Sabua. Davinyaba popping up on the right. Toyota had to keep a careful eye on the way the ball dropped there. Oof, and lunging challenge, and I think Papua New Guinea a bit fortunate to get a free kick. If they can just make something from these set plays, not just from the first delivery, but picking up the second ball. Tahiti have won all of the aerial balls so far from corners. I wonder if they'll play shorts or just hoist this into the box. Let's see. Does look like a difficult surface to try and play football on. Perhaps Route 1 is the sensible choice. There it goes. Jacob Sabua. And he was trying to pick out Richard Alois, wasn't he, with that ball. It was just overhit. Difficult one for the left back to latch onto and produce something meaningful from. Rally has done enough to win the ball for Marama Amo. Oh, it's a nice flick. Eloise trying to find a way through. That Tahitian defence is going to lock itself down through to Tauera. Well, Tahiti come into this game having beaten Papua New Guinea 3-1. It was a controversial match. The Papua New Guineans were reduced to 10 when David Brown was sent off. There was a fair amount of controversy about that. Here's Ganemba, another corner. Fleming seriously put his hands up after that match, and his view was that Papua New Guinea didn't deserve to win the game. Tahiti were worthy victors on the night. He's a very thoughtful coach, particularly in the media space, so wouldn't expect there to be too many recriminations from him. That's a good ball in. It's another corner. That's a much better approach from Papua New Guinea. Just trying to change the angle a bit, get Michael Roche guessing about what type of delivery he's going to have to deal with. You saw him come off his line and then he changed his mind and it was left to Tauera to flick the ball away to safety. Ganemba, that's a good ball, and you could see the awkward situation that Roche was placed in dealing with it. Free kick's gone the goalkeeper's way. Felix come along. Oh, he got caught dwelling on the ball. Now Gralia. This is where he operates at his best, up against Sabo, a lovely step over. He's got some space, there's a cross, he couldn't beat Elwin come along. Heimana ball, oh what a turn. Oh, and he's away from Sabo, there's the clip, cross, and Ronald Warrison watching it all the way into the gloves. Exciting play from Sylvain Gralia. The quicker Tahiti can transition that ball into Grellier wide, and if they can try and isolate him up against Clement Willis and Jacob Sabua, then I think Tahiti are going to have a very valuable attacking weapon tonight down that right-hand flank. Amo's throw. Launched forward into the pocket. Manari Polea, who's operating through the middle with Grellier wide on the right. Relative newcomer to international football, certainly in the role that he's fulfilling this evening. Foul on Sabua. Foul by Sabua, it looks. Amo. Jay Warren. Letting him go a long way. Papua New Guinea sitting deep, but this is where they're dangerous on the counter. They've got a lot of pace with Ginemba, and that's something that Tahiti don't have at the back. And they'll have to be careful that they don't sit too deep to try and compensate for that lack of pace, because the game could end up stretched. And what tends to develop from there is on that counter-attack, Papua New Guinea can pick up bits and pieces from the second ball. Borba, Grellier. Well, there's a real buzz around this stadium every time Grellier picks up the ball. Manuel Simon, a Ley City Dwellers player. Davin Yaba loses out. Tanui Teho. Well, he overcooked the manoeuvre. Willis, two headers from Willis. He gets shouldered and fouled. Well, that's an awkward one. You have to think that Clement Willis won't be happy with that. It's always a bit sneaky. You put yourself in a very vulnerable position in those sort of situations where there's a second header to be won and you've won the first, and your opponents are that much closer for the second one, and that's what happened there. They've got a free kick, however. That long ball played in, dealt with effectively, and that's what Tahiti have got as a key strength. They're very physically strong. They're very capable of dealing with set plays. What they don't want to do is give too many away and allow Papua New Guinea to work the percentages on these. Now Grellier takes the ball away from Willis. Tanui Taho. Heimanu Borba. Oh, he's got the ball out of his feet. Chance for Grellier. Good save. Ronald Warasan. In truth, Grellier needs to test the goalkeeper a lot more than he did there. I suspect the offside flag's gone up. Heimanu Borba did ever so well to get the ball out of his feet quickly. Sylvain Grellier couldn't match it, and Warasan pulled off the save. Look at this. Wanted to get it onto his preferred left, sacrificed power, and Warasan did enough to stop it. It wouldn't have counted anyway. Sabua. Well, no mean effort. You could see what he was trying to achieve. Ball just sat up nicely for him, and he was looking to catch Roche off his line, but it was just somewhat over-ambitious. Grellier. Oh, and Minari Polea was well offside there, play allowed to continue. Match now settling into a pattern. It's become evident that Route 1 will be the order of the day for Papua New Guinea. Just trying to pick up second phase possession if they can do it. And for Tahiti, they're relying ever increasingly on this man, Sylvain Gralia. Now he cuts inside. Can we see a variation here? Oh, an unselfish ball. Opportunity. Opportunity spurned. But Sylvain Gralia is having a wonderful match for Tahiti. Not only proving that he's an awkward customer to deal with when he tries to go on the outside of a defender, but you could see what took place there as he cut inside. Some players may have elected to take a shot, but he unselfishly picked out a teammate on the left. I'm sure Ludovic Granier would prefer him to maybe unleash, because, you know, Gralia does look as though he favours that left foot. It's always an awkward one as well for defenders to try and pick up if you're playing against a player who's left-footed on the right-hand side. In the opening exchanges of a match, you're always trying to figure out which is the best way to try and make him go. And Gralia has already shown that he can cross just as well with his right foot. And Fleming Seretslev will be keen to ensure that that Papua New Guinea shape does enough to give Clement Willis support each time that ball transitions out to the right-hand side and Gralia gets a hold of it. If they get that balance wrong, they could be in all sorts of bother. Comalong's free kick, and Roche once again out to quell the danger. Awkward bounce for Felix Comalong. Warasan sends it into the Papeete night sky. Amo. Oh, and you can see how hard Clement Willis had to work to ensure Gralia didn't see much of the ball there. Paulier, Amo. Warasan. Well, Tahiti will cope with those all day. Part of the issue there is that when that ball is getting played high into that very deep-lying Tahitian defence, the Papua New Guinea, the second line is too far away from the Tahitian defensive midfielders, so they're picking up the ball and able to play out, as you could see there. And that's happened in the last couple of cycles of play. Be interesting to see what Warasan does from here. It's gone short. Alwyn Comalong. Manuel Simon. Foster. Tavaiarai. Tatoira. Nice footwork from Lorenzo Tahoe. Well, Papua New Guinea read that really well. They kept a high line there. Different approach from Tahiti. We've seen the ball going out to Gralia as quickly as they can possibly get it to him. Here they tried to play through Paulier. And that's right into the heart, into the strength of that Papua New Guinea defence, the Comalong brothers. They read the game very, very well. And they have a very good understanding of each other's game. But good to see that Tahiti, there is a danger, of course, that Tahiti fall into a trap of being perhaps one-dimensional in their approach. It's fairly clear that there's more than one way to unlock a door, as we see the yellow card produced for the foul on Guinea. Midway through the first half, Tahiti 0, Papua New Guinea 0. FIFA World Cup qualifier, Russia 2018. Tatoera right into the back of Guinea. He went through the player to get to the ball. And perhaps he had been waiting for that opportunity after Dabanyaba went through him 10 minutes ago. Guinea-is a very, very sturdy character. Watched him all across the summer season in New Zealand and in the OFC Champions League, and it's not unusual to see him take this sort of treatment from defenders and opponents alike. It's the type of player who can come up with a goal out of thin air, an X-factor player, you might say. Cutting a very relaxed look there. Certainly that has been a quality that Papua New Guinea have worked on very hard under Fleming Seretslev, their fitness levels. Here's Simon. Oh, and spilled by Roche. Problems for Tahiti at the back. The goalkeeper has taken a hit from Dabanyaba. Not for the first time, I might add. Tonight, Nigel Dabanyaba has attracted the ire of these Tahitian players. They saw enough when Dabanyaba left a foot in on Tamatoa Tatoera, and now Matt Conga has seen enough, and Dabanyaba's picked up a yellow card. Roche spilled the shot. It wasn't particularly great goalkeeping from him. And in fact, Dabanyaba's entitled to go for that ball. And I don't think there was any other intention other than putting the ball in the back of the net. I think Dabanyaba might be unlucky here. The ball was there to be won. Roche has caused the issue for himself by spilling the first shot. No war here, says Dabanyaba, and Matt Conga arrives on the scene to talk to Jay Warren. Well, there are two goalkeepers on the bench for Tahiti, Stephen Saringa and Bruno Tatuanui. Stephen Saringa we've seen in OFC Champions League and Tahitian domestic football before. Bruno Tatuanui is a new name. Roche has been on the scene for a very long time. He, of course, was a key figure at the FIFA Confederations Cup in Brazil in 2013. I'm fairly sure when he's presented with Nigel Dabanyaba again, he's going to make sure that his handling's a lot cleaner than it was before. Dabanyaba is one to sniff out a chance and then really throw himself into it, as you could see before. Pull out. Nice header by Simon. Dabanyaba dropping deep to pick up the ball. Here's Dabanyaba again. Michael Foster. This is the ball that Papua New Guinea have to win, and Foster's done just enough to do so, and you can see what's come from it. Another free kick. In closer proximity to Tahiti's goal, and Fleming seriously will be delighted to see that. Big threat at the back post in the shape of Felix Gomalong. Tamatoa Tatoiat has picked him up. He's the obvious target. If Manuel Simon can craft a ball close to the penalty spot with a bit of curve on it and maybe attract Roche off his line, there could be possibilities here. And that's what he's done. Oh, it's hooked away by Tatoiat. Oh, and that's a great turn, but it's read by Alwyn Gomalong. Tahiti have never really been known for possessing teams with great pace, but Paulea looks as though he's got an abundance of that quality. Foster. Oh, that's a nice win by Foster. Heimano Borba given away. Dabanyaba. Simon. Now Gomalong. That was the right idea. Needed more finesse than power. Warren. Hoisted away. By Tatoiat. Gomalong's header. Sabua gives it away. Grelly, who's been quiet for the last 10 minutes. Paulea. Well, he needed to be stronger on the ball there. Now Ganemba. This is where he's dangerous. Oh, and a good shot and a fine save. That's better from Roche. Simon can't find a way through. Borba. Very aggressive press from Papua New Guinea. Good save by Mikael Roche. You can see here, Tamatoa Tatoiat is completely isolated. That's what Raymond Ganemba loves to see in those one-on-one duels, and he got the shot away. And it was at a good height for the goalkeeper, who made a spectacular block. We've had a third of this FIFA World Cup qualifier completed. It's Tahiti 0, Papua New Guinea 0. Papua New Guinea, I think, just edging it on the quality of chances they've been able to create. Tahiti showing that they've really got two attacking weapons that they like to try and employ, but Grelly has slowly drifted out of this half. That's a good win by Clement Willis. Speaking of that particular one-on-one duel, those two players. The other attacking fulcrum that Tahiti are trying to employ, obviously, is through Minari Polea. But it just looks like he perhaps isn't quite sure how strong he has to be or how aware he is of what's going on around him when the Papua New Guinea defenders get very, very tight on him. Needs to be stronger, retain possession and play back into midfield rather than showing too much of the ball, and he's done that so far. Missed by Borba. Alois loses out to Tauira. Now Gralia. Amo. Amo again. Papua New Guinea just starting to tighten their grip on midfield. And this pitch it looks a difficult surface to try and connect passes on. You don't want to take your eye off the ball for fear of misdirecting a pass or having an opponent press and force a mistake. Simon. Good stop by Willis. Willis again. Right idea. That's actually the type of ball that Raymond Guinea enjoys. Guinea operates very well one-on-one in isolated positions out wide, but he's equally dangerous if the ball can be played just in between the centre halves. He tends to find a space on the pitch between centre halves where those players aren't sure whether or not they should be picking him up, particularly if they're playing in a zonal fashion. And Guinea's pace, he loves to run onto a ball, perhaps from a wider area than we saw there. They can also change that up and play just in behind a back two. Sorry, a midfield two holding midfielders in front of a back four. Tainui Taho, we haven't seen much of him at all. Cross into the box, away by Felix Comalong. Jay Warren's cross, and into the right area, but there was nobody in a red shirt threatening Rona Warasan. Miscue from Tavares. Foster joining in, and so too does the referee, Matt Conga. Well, Gralia and Tainui Taho have swapped flanks, and now Taho just in behind Clement Willis. Oh, good defending. He had to be very careful, Clement Willis, and he's getting himself into bother. He's fouled. He was a bit lucky there. Tried to over-elaborate on the defending Clement Willis, and Tainui Taho pushed him over. Now Gralia popping up on the left. He's looking for support. Might not need it. Abel Redner in trouble. Cross wasn't particularly well crafted, but there's still a possibility for Tahiti to pick up something from the work. Oh, that's a good win. Oh, and Guinea, if he can pick out his teammate, there's two here. One at the top of the box, one at the far post, who's Richard Alois. Tidy glove work from from Mikael Roche. Tainui Teho, the skipper. Clement Willis getting really tight on Taho. Gralia. Warren. Oh, that's not a bad piece of play by Gralia. Jay Warren on the overlap. Ball into the box, and oh, the goalkeeper spills it. There was panic in the Papua New Guinea defence for the moment. And it's come at the cost of an injury. You can see Alwyn Comalong lost his footing, and that threw Ronald Warasan off completely, and he's collected. He's collected the player on the way through. I think that is Lorenzo Taho. It is Lorenzo Taho. That's probably the best ball into the penalty area that Tahiti have manufactured this evening. They haven't done it enough. They've got into very good positions in wide areas. The quality of the ball in has been variable at best. And you can see the surface obviously played a key role in the mayhem that ensued there. Just 5 minutes from half-time. Tahiti 0, Papua New Guinea 0. FIFA World Cup qualifier. Stage 3. Jonathan Taho in your picture. Will be forever associated with that goal against Nigeria in the FIFA Confederations Cup. Almost 4 years ago. How time flies. Marama Omo. Matatia Palmer. Now Jay Warren. Tunoa Tavairai. Gralia. This is a good build-up by Tahiti. Oh, good ball. But Polea, he's got a second shot at it. And the shot from Tainui Taho was rushed. And in the end, it was wasted. It was a wasted effort, a wasted opportunity, rather. But the build-up had plenty to admire about it. Another decent ball in by Galia. There was nobody attacking the space in front of the near post. And that's probably something that's let Tahiti down this evening. Quality of ball in from wide areas and not enough players attacking the spaces. It's been a bit too easy for Papua New Guinea in that regard. The wide fullbacks, Abel Redknapp and Richard Eloise, are getting severely tested. Sorry, Clement Willis. They're getting severely tested, but Tahiti aren't punishing them enough. The job is really only half cooked. And Papua New Guinea have done pretty well so far to nullify those threats. This is the longest away oh, lovely skill by Lorenzo Taho. Now Tainui's got space to consider what type of ball he'll put in here. Paulea. Still Paulea. Marama Amo. Tunoa Tavairai. Redknapp's header. Jay Warren's picked up the loose ball. Gralia Now against Dabinyaba, Rednuts dropped in to provide some support. Tahoe, Gralier, oh, and it just needed to be underweighted. And Gralier was looking to pick it up on his stride and maybe get a shot away. There was too much on it, and that helped Warrison make up his mind to come off his line and snaffle possession for Papua New Guinea. Alwyn Comlong, that's a good win. Sabua, Lorenzo Tahoe. Felix Tahoe with some good defending. All over the top, goalkeepers come for it. Not very convincing. Foster. Took a deflection off Tavairai. Well, closing stages of the first half. I think both coaches will be relatively pleased with their team's work. Oh, nice touch by Dabinyaba. Had to be very careful because Tatoira was breathing down his neck. Raymond Guinea. Nigel Dabinyaba, Guinea finds space again. That's an interesting ball. It's just in behind Richard Alois. Heimano Borba, Taunui Tahoe. A bit of a heavy ask of Marama Amo to deal with that. Away by Jacob Sabua. Tavairai, Jay Warren. Dabinyaba. Flag stayed down. Oh, it's gone up now. Goodness me. You could have heard a pin drop around the stadium. 4 minutes of additional time.
4 minutes. Temps additionnel, 4 minutes.
Oh, Paul, that's not the best place on the park to try and do something fancy and high risk such as that. And you can see what's happened. There's all sorts of panic at the back for Tahiti. And it all came from Paulea being just a bit too casual in possession. Dabinyaba. Warren launches the ball forward in search of one last meaningful attack, maybe, before the additional time is elapsed. It has been rather stop-start. It has been rather scrappy in the middle of the pitch in midfield. It's not the greatest playing surface for pass and move, flowing, patient possession football, if you like. It's been more a battle of attrition than a night for silky skills. While the surface is bumpy, it's also slippery, and that midfield looks a treacherous place to apply one straight this evening. Nice turn by Lorenzo Tahoe. Alwyn Comlong picks off Tahoe's pass. Now there's an injury to Clement Willis. Looks serious, unfortunately for Willis. You could see what happened when the physio in attendance put his hand on the injured part of Willis' leg, and whatever he's done there, he's certainly feeling in some discomfort. Well, the good news is he's back. Good news for Fleming Seretslev. Can ill afford to lose another player from his squad. I have to say, this is probably the most talented Papua New Guinea squad that I've certainly seen in all my years of calling games in the Pacific. Not just the squad that he's selected, but there's anywhere between 20 to 30, 35 players that Papua New Guinea can choose from and get a level of consistency and tactical understanding and skill. And maybe New Zealand, well, I would say New Zealand definitely can say the same, but not too many other Pacific nations can join them in that chorus. Whichever direction this campaign goes from Papua New Guinea, I think the future's going to be bright. Got a big population, and oh, that's a ball. That's what Raymond Ganemba was trying to do, get him between those centre halves, as I said earlier. And if he gets his touch right, Tahiti, you're in big trouble. Gralia showing his strength and pace, but again lacking quality in the final ball. I wonder if we'll see him appear on the right-hand side. You can see that he was gesticulating towards Pule and Tainui Taho that he needed a target to hit, but it's all academic, at least for now. Tahiti and Papua New Guinea level at the break in this FIFA World Cup qualifier, 0-0. Well, it was a war of attrition in the first half. Papua New Guinea, remember, they've never won here. They've never beaten Tahiti before. Tonight they have to grab all 3 points to keep their FIFA World Cup hopes alive. And they made the early running through Raymond Ganemba and won a spate of corners. They were unable to capitalise off them, and Tahiti were able to get on the ball. But there they gave the ball away, and this shot from Michael Foster drew a wonderful save from Mikael Roche. Sylvain Gralia showed that he had plenty to offer in an attacking sense. He took on the Papua New Guinea defence here, whipped over the cross. While it wasn't the best of work from Gralia, Tahiti have been able to launch attacks off those second phase balls when they've occurred. Gralia again was taking on Clement Willis in this attack. A lovely step over. He left Willis for dead. The cross couldn't beat Alwyn Comalong. Gralia picked it up again. A lovely Cruyff turn away from two challengers, but this time, as deft as the cross was, it was straight into Warasan's hands. Jay Warren hooked over this ball. Borba got the ball out of his feet. It was rather awkward. Great chance for Gralia. Equally good save, but the offside flag was up. It wouldn't have counted. Gralia showed that he offers a threat on his left foot. He might have taken a shot here. Instead, he unselfishly picked out Lorenzo Taho, and the shot ended up with Ronald Warasan. Manuel Simon had this effort. It was a poor piece of goalkeeping from Mikael Roche. Nigel Dabanyaba followed up. Roche was hurt in the process, but as the replay showed, it was there as a ball to be won. Roche made up for his earlier handling mistake with a great save from Raymond Ganemba. And as Papua New Guinea tightened up on winning second phase ball, they became more and more of a threat in that Tahitian top third. And Raymond Guinea was the fulcrum for most of those moments. Jay Warren caused a big disturbance in the Papua New Guinea backline. Alwyn Comalong slipped at the vital moment. Ronald Warasan was thrown off and injured Lorenzo Teho for the moment. And you just get a sense that if Tainui Taho had got his head over the ball and got the ball on target, Ronald Warasan would have had a lot more to do than he had there. Grolier popped up on the left after swapping flanks with Tainui Taho. But again, quality of delivery was always suspect. And that concluded an interesting first half. Welcome back, everyone, to this FIFA World Cup qualifier between Tahiti and Papua New Guinea. Tahiti 0, Papua New Guinea 0. It's been a very evenly, finely poised match. And a couple of changes to report to you. Lorenzo Teho has succumbed to injury and is replaced by his brother Jonathan, wearing the number 2 shirt. And for Papua New Guinea, Richard Alois has also been replaced. Patrick Isa, the number 6, is injected into this one. Well, 45 minutes for Papua New Guinea to save their FIFA World Cup hopes. They need to win here. They've never beaten Tahiti in the past. Can they create another piece of history in this wonderful journey that they've taken us on over the last couple of years?
Player number 19, joueur numéro 19, Lorenzo, is replaced by player number 2.
Tahiti will be looking to get maximum points too. Let's not forget that. Ludovic Graugnard has a team that sits on 6 points. They've won 2 games and lost 1. If they can get a draw or a win here, they'd obviously prefer the victory to place big pressure on the Solomons and eliminate Papua New Guinea. But a point's not the end of the world for them. 7 points would still be competitive. But it would take a lot of the equation out of their hands. Jay Warren. To Tauira. Tauira again. Nice good ball by Simon Davinyaba. He's had a look up. Cross to, oh, it's a good ball. Ganemba's first touch. Deserted him. He's normally so good in those positions. It was a wonderful ball in by Davinyaba. Here he is again. Now Foster. Good cross again by Davinyaba. Ganemba, space opening up, shot. Corner. And this is the difference between the two teams so far, has been the quality of the delivery. You saw there from Nigel Davinyaba just what you can do when you take a look and pick out the cross, pick out a player in your team. I know it sounds obvious to say, but we witness so often in the first half from Tahiti just a lack of quality. And there we saw what Davinyaba can do when he's afforded the chance. Felix, oh, and a good save by Mikael Roche. Great header from Felix Comalong. Papua New Guinea applying the blowtorch to sensitive parts here. Ganemba's corner. Oh, it's a very good one too. You could see Mikael Roche came for it again, and it's another corner to Seretslev's side. Well, the World Cup only comes around once every 4 years. It's the highlight of a player's career. Papua New Guinea trying desperately to hang on to their dream. Oh, and he's missed it, Roche. Well, this is a great start to the second half by Papua New Guinea, sorry. They might well have scored a goal if only Raymond Ganemba's first touch had been to its usual high standard. Oh, and that is a heavy, heavy challenge from behind on Tainui Taho. There can only be one outcome here, and that's a yellow card. Tainui Taho really felt that, and Matt Conga was in a very good position to see how that unfolded, and the laws of the game are explicit when it comes to moments like these. Felix Comelong has left the scene of the crime. Look at this, a big lunge straight through the ankle, stud showing. That's a painful one and could easily have been red. If it was in another area of the pitch, if it was more central, I dare say, Matt Conga would be in a very strong position to administer a red card. It's the type of tackle that can break ankles. Probably what saved Tainui Taho, what saved Felix Comelong there was the direction play was headed, and Tainui Taho was away from him. So Tahiti have a free kick here on the left-hand side to be taken by Jay Warren. 2 on the wall for Papua New Guinea. Let's see if Jay Warren can just up the quality of the delivery. Wound in, it's not bad. Oh, and the header by Tamatoa Tatoiera. He almost had too much space and time to think about what he was going to do. He wasn't marked particularly tight as the rain falls here. A treacherous surface to play on now. We saw players slipping and sliding in the first half. Alwyn Comelong for brother Felix. Hoisted forward. Well, following the completion of this game, there are 2 more matches to be played in Group B, both involving the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea. The first of those is scheduled for the 9th of June at Lawson Tama Stadium in Honiara. The second is played 4 days later at Sir Ignatius Collage Stadium in Lae in Papua New Guinea. Dabinyaba. Papua New Guinea can win tonight and then somehow pick up a point in Honiara on June the 9th, they would set up a wonderful grandstand finish for Lae on June the 13th. It would be a case of winner-take-all there. And I've seen some wonderful crowds at Sir Ignatius Collage Stadium in the past. I recall a Women's World Cup qualifier between New Zealand and Papua New Guinea that attracted a sellout crowd. And with the opportunity to qualify for the home and away playoff with the winner of Group A, I'm sure that that would be a wonderful occasion. Solomon Islands will have plenty to say about that. Let's not forget. Oh, good ball, good ball. Mikael Roche had to be quick to come out. Solomon Islands are playing very well at the moment. If you've been following the OFC Champions League, although Western United dipped out of the running in a very difficult group that included Lae City Dwellers and Auckland City FC, the defending champions. They played very well across the 3 games. Very unlucky, in fact, not to beat the Aucklanders. Two mouth-watering fixtures coming up in June. Tahiti will want to render that a dead rubber, I'm sure, by picking up 3 points here. We've got a free kick in another wide area. Tainui Taho to take. Decent ball. Warasan punches clear. Marama Amo. Heimano Boba. Oh, and the ball breaks kindly for Ganemba. There's a shot across the face of goal. Dabanyaba was racing up on his right-hand side, but I don't think there was enough time and space for him to pick out his teammate. Last couple of opportunities for Ganemba out with that one in the first couple of minutes of the second half have come to him in wide areas, and he wants, I suppose, to find something more central like this. Tainui Taho, again, final ball, just lacking quality. Papua New Guinea getting let off the hook more and more, and that's got to add up. You can't continue to get into good positions and fail to find your teammate, because in FIFA World Cup football, it can come back to haunt you. Marama Amo. Well, that's a good touch. Keeper comes and the keeper saves. Good goalkeeping, Ronald Warasan. When he makes his mind up to race off his line, it happens quickly, and it always happens with conviction for the most part. And we saw a great example of that there against Gralia, who's won a corner. 10 minutes into the second half. Tahiti 0, Papua New Guinea 0. Can't beat the first play. He's going to get a second bite at it. What can he make of the chance? Nice ball in. Tamatoa Tatoera won the header. Not convincing goalkeeping by Warasan. That's the other side of the equation with that goalkeeper. Makes a decision to race off his line and doesn't collect the ball, and then he's left in no man's land. Amo, pull out. Past Felix, come along, the cut back. Oh, and Tainui Taho with another miscue. Dabanyaba trying to link with Ganemba. Palmer all the way back to Roche. Warren. Oh, decent ball by Warren. Jonathan Taho, Ronald Warasan came out and collected. Well, both teams starting to now create more and more chances. Tahiti have stepped up the pace in search of the first goal of this game. They can take care of business here. They can eliminate Papua New Guinea if they win this game. Don't forget that. They've been so closely matched that you get the feeling that tonight could well be a one-goal sort of a game. Papua New Guinea teams of the past have had a propensity for falling in the last 10 or 15 minutes of games. I don't think that presents an issue for them. We saw in the OFC Nations Cup in Papua New Guinea last year that Fleming Seretslev has worked a lot on the players' fitness. They've worked very hard as a collective, and in the final that went for nearly 2 hours, they only made their first substitution in the second half of extra time. So you would imagine this Papua New Guinea team will be one that can see this 90 minutes out and then some. Nice touch by Taho. Paulea not really reading what was on his captain's mind. Well, we haven't seen much of Patrick Isa, the substitute, since he came on. There's Simon trying to loft a ball into Isa's path. He's been working up and down that left-hand side and doing very little else. Papua New Guinea playing on the break. Here is Isa, given away very cheaply to Borba. Tavairai. Paulea. Well, they have to be better than they have been in that final third. At the risk of sounding repetitive, there's no disguising Tahiti's shortcoming in the top third here tonight. They don't have a recognised goal scorer. They don't seem to possess a player of the quality of a Ganemba or a Dabanyaba. Substitution coming up. Mararai Paulea has played his last tonight. Tahiti Kek, who was on the score sheet at the OFC Nations Cup, is coming on. So Ludovic Grania has seen fit to make that change up top in search of some quality, in search of a player who he feels perhaps can get a goal or help create something with a moment of inspiration or brilliance. It's a positive move by Grania, I must say. Here is the substitute Kek in your picture. Jay Warren with the free kick. Not a great free kick. Ganemba picks up the second ball. Palmer. Foster. Lovely skill. Still Foster. And the ball goes for a corner. Matatia Palmer having to stretch out that leg to ensure that Foster went no further. Ganemba will take. Well, Tahiti Kek, it's always awkward for a player to come into a game off the bench and try to affect things immediately. But Grania will be hoping that Tahiti can survive this and move forward and launch an attack of their own. Ball goes to the far post. Isa scores! The Papua New Guinea substitute, Patrick Isa, has struck a heavy blow. And Tahiti are rocked on home soil by the headed goal of Patrick Isa just after the hour mark. We talk about substitutes making an impact. It was a wonderful header by Alwyn Comalong. Isa was unmarked. Jay Warren wasn't close enough. Neither was Borba. And Mikael Roche could do nothing. And Tahiti, who are looking to kill off this tie and take top spot, are now in all sorts of trouble. They need to score. It's a huge blow struck for Papua New Guinea. You could just sense around the stadium a collective gasp of disbelief as the ball hit the back of the net. Such an important goal. Psychologically for Papua New Guinea, this is a huge moment. You can see the defending here was really not up to standard. It's a great jump by both Comalong brothers. And Patrick Isa, look, there was no player close to him. He just had to pick his spot, provide the power, keep it low, and Mikael Roche was always struggling to get there. Well, Tahiti now are really struggling to hang on. They've got to put that goal out of their mind and get their concentration back online. They can ill afford to lose a second here. I think if they did, that would be it. They haven't really looked like creating much in the top third. Here's Tahiti kick. Nice touch. Still going kick. Oh, not a bad cross, and Alwyn Comalong had to prevent Graulia from finishing off the pass into the penalty area. Borba. Matatia Palmer. Borba again. Amo. Well, needs must as the devil rides, so they say. And often teams that fall behind in situations such as these on home soil can find an extra gear, but certainly if you haven't been playing well for 20 minutes and you fall a goal behind, it can be difficult to find that gear if things haven't been going right. And that's certainly the way that Tahiti have performed in the second half. We've seen little of Tainui Taho, we've seen little of Graulia. And there's certainly frustration growing in Tahitian ranks. Papua New Guinea, 25 minutes away from completing a piece of history. They've never beaten Tahiti. It's the longest away game in the Pacific. Papua New Guinea away to Tahiti and vice versa. So to come here and pick up 3 vital points would be such a big lift going into the final 2 games, if they can do it. Nice touch by Simon, but Keks picked the ball off. Tainui Taho dispossessed by Felix Comalong. Tavarai all the way back to Roche. Chested down by Alwyn Comalong. Emmanuel Simon. Dabin Yab is such a good player to have on the end of direct play like that. He's got such a good first touch. He times his runs well. That can always help. Can always help defenders who are taking a route one approach. You know that if you get it somewhere in behind the defender, that you've got a player capable of causing problems. It's been a big difference between the 2 teams tonight. Tahiti simply haven't possessed a player of that quality up front or even from out wide. Teho. Oh, what a ball. That's a good ball. Warasan. Well, Alwyn Comalong took no chances at all. Tahiti Kek was looking to just duck in behind the centre half and maybe pick up on a wayward back pass or a miscue. It was a better run too, I must say, than that which we saw from Polea. Mustn't be too unkind. He does look a very decent player, but perhaps just short of some experience at this level of the game. Well played by Gralia. Well, this is where Papua New Guinea's fitness is starting to tell here. Look at the way that Dabanyaba and Guinea are pressing the ball every opportunity they get. We're well over the hour mark, 22 minutes to go, and they're still looking as industrious and as hungry as ever to put pressure on that Tahitian backline. Tahiti haven't lacked for work ethic. Oh, that was unfortunate for Michael Foster. Decent ball, Tainui Taho, first touch too heavy. Nice work from Abel Redknapp. Warren. Tauera for Borba. Tahiti trying to find some width in their game. Part of the problem is the transition of the ball into those wide areas hasn't been quick enough. And you could see there, Patrick Isa pressed the ball. Okay, he's given away a foul, but by the time the Tahitian players are receiving the ball, they've already got a Papua New Guinea player right in their face, right on top of them. And on a difficult pitch, the more they can disrupt the game, the better, because they've shown that they've also got enough strength to deal with any set play that's hoisted into the penalty box. They've got another test to face here. 20 minutes to go. Tahiti 0, Papua New Guinea 1. A huge scoreline that will reverberate around the Pacific. And if you're watching this, oh, and that's not a bad ball in this time. Warasan's hurt by Tauera. He's a big unit. I wouldn't like Tamatoa Tauera to run into me. Ronald Warasan very bravely putting his body on the line for teammates, coach and country. Free kick for Papua New Guinea. Has been very stop-start tonight. And not a game for the purists. Winning is all that counts this evening. All the niceties can be put aside if you've got 3 points to boast about at the end of it. And Papua New Guinea will certainly be in that mindset this evening of simply getting the job done. And it's not been like they've not been worth this one goal lead, and they haven't really pinched it on the break. They've been consistently putting pressure on Tahiti throughout the game. Ball wound in. Far post, Foster lets it go. That's a corner. So they've troubled Tahiti this evening from these set plays, corners in particular. Ganemba's delivery's been very good. Tahiti's marking has left a lot to be desired. Is there a variation? They've gone short here. Dabanyaba to Guinea. Oh, decent ball. Very decent ball indeed. No end product, fortunately for Tahiti. They've gone about defending these corners in a very casual way this evening that I don't think Ludovic Grania will be too happy about when he reflects on this 90 minutes. Here's Isa, the goal scorer. Oh, and he finds Ginemba, who finds the back of the net, and Papua New Guinea must surely feel that they've sealed 3 valuable points. Raymond Ginemba has doubled Papua New Guinea's lead. Tahiti are sinking without trace on home soil. What a finish that was. The marking again wasn't tight enough, and Mikkel Roche had no chance with a finish once Ginemba's boot connected with ball. Just pivoted the ball into the back of the net. And Tahiti trailed by 2-0. Amid the celebrations has been a substitution. Fred Tissot's come on for Tanoa Tavares, so it's a striker on for a midfielder. And Ludovic Grania, you can't fault his substitutions. They've been well thought out and well considered. But in the end, Tahiti just haven't been good enough this evening. And Papua New Guinea lead 2-0, and deservedly so. Here's Warren. Whipped in, looking for Tissot. Borba goes in late. He takes out Jacob Sabur. And it's a yellow card. Well, he's gone over the top of the ball again, right in front of the referee. And that sums up Tahitian frustration. What Papua New Guinea were unable to do at the OFC Nations Cup, and it led to all sorts of problems for them, was scoring first in matches and then giving away the lead and ending up with draws. They played Tahiti in the group stage and New Caledonia, and had experiences like that. Surely 2 goals is cushion enough to avoid a nervous finish. Here's Ginemba. He can wrap it up here, Raymond Ginemba. Foster. Well, he had 2 teammates in the penalty box looking for a cross. I think Foster was trying to eke out a corner. Why not? They've dominated from such moments in this game. Come along. Isa. Unlucky not to get something from threading it through an opponent's legs, perhaps seeking out a teammate or a deflection for a corner. Well, there's 12.5 minutes of the regulation 90 to be played, and Tahiti trail by 2-0 on home soil, losing to a team to which they've never experienced defeat. This will be a sore one for Tahiti to take. Here's Gralia. If they can score a goal and try and rattle Papua New Guinea, then we could be in for a grandstand finish, but they have to score soon. Tatoira again symptomatic of the evening that they've experienced. They tried to build attacks out wide. They tried to go through the middle. I wonder if Ludovic Grandjaer will look back on the way this match was set up and wonder if he might have started the game with Fred Tissot or Tahiti Kek in place of Minari Polea. They look to be two physically strong players. You look better suited to playing through the middle and holding the ball up, and that's what they've lacked, among many other qualities. Borba. Warren. Excuse me. Tatoira. Palmer. Oh, lovely skill. Patrick Isa. Papua New Guinea don't want to sit back too deep and invite Tahiti onto them in the final 10 minutes. That appears to be the case. You can see Davinyaba and Foster pressing now. And Emmanuel Simon. Space opening up. Tahiti leaving a front three forward. Now, Gralia. Decent cross. Panic stations at the back post. Cleared by Clement Willis. Ten to go. What can Tahiti make of this? Fred Tissot is a very good attacking asset. It's headed away by Alwyn Comalong. Well, this is where Papua New Guinea need to show some discipline. They need to show that they can finish games off. Now, they've got a chance on the counter, but the offside flag is up against Michael Foster. Amo. That's a better ball, but too close to Warasan. You get the feeling that Tahiti could play all night and not get a quality delivery into the penalty box. Such has been their trials and tribulations in that part of the game. If they're beaten here tonight, I'm not too sure we'll see them advance. I don't think that Papua New Guinea or the Solomon Islands are going to give up the opportunity that a Tahitian defeat will provide either of them. There's a door waiting to be pushed open and glory to be obtained on the other side of that door. As I said, the FIFA World Cup only comes around once every 4 years, and it's the highlight for any player. And Papua New Guinea are slowly putting themselves in a position whereby they can almost taste the final playoff before the intercontinental playoff. Solomon Islands will be watching on with great curiosity and fascination about that possibility also. For Tahiti, their grip on Group B is slipping unless they can come up with a goal, and soon. Gralia, shot blocked. Jonathan Tahoe. We haven't seen much of him since he came on. Tahoe. Oh, and a good ball in. Tainui Tahoe couldn't get a clean header. Kek. Belief is growing here at Start Pata. But for every step forward, there's 2 steps back when they put a delivery into the penalty box like that. And unfortunately for Ludovic Graniana's team, that's been the story of the evening. Those percentages have, in the end, done for the Tahitians. They haven't troubled Papua New Guinea enough at the back. Gralia with an attacking intent. He's halted, a chance. Oh, good save. Tahiti kick with a shot. Ronald Warrison with a save. Five minutes of the 90 remaining. Tahitian hopes completely forlorn. Or is there a twist in the narrative? Gralia, Tiso. Well, that answers that question about the selection of Prolia over Tiso. That was far too cheaply done, and within the context of an emergency situation that Tahiti find themselves in, you can't afford to do things like that. Not only is it not very constructive, but it's a real heartbreaker for your teammates. Sure, there were a few glares offered Tiso's way when he elected to do that. Here's Isa. Borba. Tatoira. Oh, lovely skill. Followed up with a poor pass. Isa. Well, it's just been flat from Tahiti. On the balance of things, you have to say. They've let themselves down tonight. Too many big name players in red just simply haven't been able to strike up a spark consistently enough throughout the 90 minutes to really warrant anything other than the scoreline they've been presented with. Here's Gralia. They need something from a player who's been more or less the best pick of the bunch. And he can't get the better of Abel Redknapp there. I wouldn't say it's been easy for Papua New Guinea, but certainly it's been a lot more of a gentle ride than they could have ever hoped before they stepped on the plane in Port Moresby to come here. Oh, that's a good flick. Tainui Taho just can't get on the end of it. 6 years ago, if you had have presented the scoreline to anybody in Pacific football, you would have got a very funny look back. I think there was always a feeling that Papua New Guinea would eventually become one of the Pacific's strongest nations in football. That it's happened so quickly in the last cycle and a half is perhaps the biggest surprise. They've a country rich in natural resource and enterprise, and those are the qualities that their football team has shown, particularly in the last year and a half. Just under a minute remaining. It's Tahiti 0, Papua New Guinea 2 in this FIFA World Cup World Cup qualifier as we head towards the 2 playoffs that will define Oceania's representation or not at the World Cup next year. Here's Gralia. There's one step over. Decent ball in, and it's wide of the target. Tiso got into a great position. The quality was there from Gralia. Tiso arrived at just the right time, but again, a lack of quality in the finish. It might have been too little, too late anyway. We have to determine how many additional minutes will be played before we can classify the impact of Tiso's miss in the overall context.
3 minutes. Additionnel, 3 minutes.
Well, it's 3 minutes of additional time. But Tahiti really haven't looked like opening up Papua New Guinea. Gralia. Now we're starting to see more of him, but you wonder if they've left it too late. Still going. Corner. Now it has to be the moment for Tahiti. They must score. Substitution. And Raymond Guinemba's coming off. Samuel Kinney coming on. I think this is no more than a time-wasting exercise by Fleming Seretslev, just to try and break up the momentum, such as it is, that Tahiti have managed to find here in the vapours of this match. Jay Warren's corner. There's the shot. Away by Papua New Guinea. They're nearly there. History beckons for Seretslev's team.
Substitution for Papua New Guinea. Changement pour la Papouasie-Nouvelle-Guinée. Player number 7.
Here's confirmation of that substitution. Kinney for Guinemba. What a fine evening Guinemba's had. Scorer of the second goal. Samuel Kinney will have less than a minute, you would expect, to try and aid his team in protecting this clean sheet. Tahiti's fate is very much in the hands of the football gods here if they're to perhaps turn a knife here. Here's kick and a goal for Tahiti kick. Well, perhaps it isn't over yet. The obituary had already been written, but now they've halved the deficit. But they've got to win the ball back and do it all over again. And time's the enemy. Papua New Guinea will want to see the ball down the other end of the park as quickly as possible. Either end, really. Just try and protect it. Foster's launched it. Imagine if Tahiti were able to score again and lock this game up. Fleming Seretslev would be furious, I'm sure. There's 4 players forward. Morrison off his line. He's lost it. Goodness me, and this is the Papua New Guinea we saw at the OFC Nations Cup, unable to hold a lead that they had earned and would well worth. That might settle it. I think that foul by Matatia Palmer. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Nigel Dabanyaba gave calm down with both hands. But that's it. Papua New Guinea have created history here. They've beaten Tahiti for the first time ever. 3 valuable points on the road to Russia that restores their FIFA World Cup hopes. And Tahiti have completed all their matches. Well, it was a memorable second half, and Papua New Guinea have managed to seal the points just with that extra piece of quality in the attacking third that led to 2 goals. They were always threatening from set plays, particularly from corners. Wonderful save by Roche of Felix Comalong. But Tahiti just struggled with quality of their own. You can see their beautiful ball, but lacked a finish from Tamatoa Tatoere, who was one of the best players for Tahiti this evening in a paucity of top quality shows. Raymond Ganemba gave warning of what he was capable of when he got clear of the defence. Couldn't get the shot on target. But Tahiti were always battling to try and connect up play in that final third, and that's the perfect example there. Grellier had been the fulcrum for all of the attacks in the first half for Tahiti. He was in the action there. Ronald Warasan with a good save. And Prolia, who had a disappointing evening, got into a great position here, had 2 players he could have picked out with a cutback, but good defending from Papua New Guinea. Michael Foster was again a quality performer for his country. This was a good tackle from Matatia Palmer, but it resulted in devastation from the corner. Ganemba went to the far post. Alwyn Comalong did just enough to provide Patrick Isa with the opportunity, who made sure that his powerful downwards header was out of reach of Mikael Roche. There'll be question marks about the marking there, I'm sure. 1-0 Papua New Guinea, just after the hour mark. Tahiti Kek was thrown into the action to try and prise open this Papua New Guinea defence. That was a good ball, but the defending, again, equal to the task. Papua New Guinea were soon in the mood to score a goal, and it was captain Raymond Ganemba who poked home this wonderful goal from Patrick Isa's cross. That doubled the lead, and Tahiti were in all sorts of trouble. Ganemba hooking the ball back from a yard behind himself. The marking not tight enough from Jay Warren, and Mikael Roche didn't even bother moving for it. Ganemba, busy as ever, got into this position. Lovely back heel. Michael Foster, he's done better in the past. As the situation worsened for Tahiti, Grellier became more and more an active figure. That's a beautiful ball, but where are the attackers? That's the big question. Tissot and Kek, 2 substitutes, unable to get on the end of it. Jonathan Teho, the old campaigner, was called into action later on in the match, but even he was despairing when Tainui Teho couldn't get on the end of that cross. Grellier popped up on the left on this occasion, cut inside. The defending was good. There was an overload on the far post, but Ronald Warasan pulled off the save from Kek, and Papua New Guinea survived. Grellier teed up this moment for Tahiti, checked onto the left foot, good ball in. Tissot's finish off target when he had the goal at his beckon. Tissot's flick on led to a problem that Alwyn Comalong dealt with. But eventually the ball fell to Kek. The first touch was perfect, the second even better. But it was too little too late. 3 minutes into additional time, and Tahiti halved the deficit, but the damage was done. Both coaches had plenty to say after the game, and no wonder. It was a frenetic finish. Jonathan Teho nearly got on the end of this. Ronald Warasan nearly had hearts and mouths, but it was 2-1 for Papua New Guinea. happiness for PNG. What did Fleming Seretslev and Ludovic Grania have to
This
say?
victory here keep us in the running. We have not until now won anything in the group. I mean, there are 2 matches left for us to finalize before we eventually can celebrate. I would say, like all games in this group, I believe it'll be equal matches. It'll also be even if we have won Solomon the last 2 times we met them, we know that they have some individual skills that sometimes it's difficult to defend them. So we have to be very careful when we meet them.
Le gain du milieu de terrain. J'avais dit avant le match que la bataille milieu de terrain serait importante et que les garçons papouas allaient arriver avec énormément d'envie parce qu'ils étaient obligés de s'imposer pour espérer. Et j'ai trouvé que dans l'envie au milieu de terrain, ils nous ont dépassés. On a perdu énormément de ballons et de duels. Donc pour moi, ça a été une des clés du match. Après, on a manqué de lucidité dans les gestes, même si on a été dans l'ensemble assez inoffensif.
So Papua New Guinea have won this FIFA World Cup qualifier by 2-1. They have now leapt into second in the group. Next match is Solomons against PNG at Lawson Tama on 9th of June and PNG against Solomons in Lae on the 13th of June. I'm Gordon Watson. It's been my privilege to describe the action. We'll see you again next time.